Somewhere right now, an insurance adjuster is reading a claim about a bear, a sandwich, and a car at the bottom of a lake. And it is completely legitimate. Here are 101 insurance claims so ridiculous they sound fake, but every single one actually happened. 1. How do you run yourself over with your own car? Ask the guy from Kentucky who stepped out to check a tire, left the thing in neutral, and watched it roll right over his leg. His insurer spent weeks deciding whether the driver or the pedestrian was at fault. Same person. 1 claim. 0 dignity. 2. Frozen iguanas fall out of trees in South Florida during cold snaps. Happens so regularly that when one woman filed a windshield claim for reptile impact damage, her insurer barely blinked. Just another morning in Miami, where the weather forecast genuinely includes a solid chance of frozen lizards from the sky. 3. One claim form literally read, quote, "I was going straight when a lamppost came out of nowhere and struck my vehicle." Yes, the lamppost came out of nowhere. Just got up and walked into traffic all by itself. Apparently, in this guy's town, stationary streetlights have very busy schedules and zero respect for right-of-way. 4. Swerving to dodge a Sasquatch. That was the official explanation one Oregon driver gave for totaling his car in a roadside ditch. No fur, no footprints, no Bigfoot. Just a wrecked sedan and some world-class decision-making. Turns out, cryptids are not a covered peril under any insurance policy in America. 5. Wedding guests watched a groom attempt a backflip off the stage. He landed dead center on the 5-tier cake and snapped his collarbone on impact. The cake was insured. The collarbone was covered. But no policy on this planet reimburses a grown man for destroying his own wedding in under 2 seconds. 6. 2 in the morning. A robot vacuum switches on by itself, chases the cat across the living room, and the panicked cat takes out a 60-inch TV, 2 lamps, and a full fish tank. Total chaos. Insurance paid for everything. The vacuum was never questioned, never held accountable. Absolute household menace. 7. Sprinkler, fence, neighbor's parked car. A Texas man tripped over the first, crashed through the second, and landed face first onto the third. Then filed a liability claim on his own homeowner's policy. The man literally sued himself for being clumsy. Somewhere, an adjuster had to process that with a straight face. 8. She rear-ended someone at a red light because she was putting on pants while driving, not adjusting them, putting them on from scratch at 40 miles per hour on a regular Tuesday morning. That claim form is sitting in a filing cabinet somewhere right now, and honestly, it belongs in the Smithsonian. 9. No vandals, no falling branches, just a clean hole punched through a car hood by a rock from actual outer space. A tiny meteorite hit a suburban driveway, and the insurer had to call NASA for damage verification. Imagine being the adjuster who had to make that phone call. Hey, quick question about a space rock. 10. A motion-activated zombie decoration lunged from behind a bush, and a woman screamed so hard she toppled off her neighbor's porch and sprained both ankles. She filed against the neighbor's homeowner's policy. Approved. The decoration cost $12. The payout was over $8,000. October is undefeated. 11. During a windstorm, a full-sized backyard trampoline went fully airborne, crossed the street, and landed flat on top of a delivery van. The trampoline owner filed a claim. The driver filed a claim. 2 insurance companies, 1 rogue trampoline, 0 winners, and a pile of paperwork that probably made someone quit. 12. It takes a special kind of talent to sink your own boat in your own driveway. One guy forgot the drain plug existed, pressure-washed water in, until the hull cracked the trailer from the weight. Then he filed for water damage. Technically correct. Spiritually an absolute felony against common sense. 13. Nobody taught the dog how to drive. But a golden retriever in Missouri bumped a parked car into gear, rolled it across the street, and sent it clean through a neighbor's living room wall. 2 claims filed, 2 baffled insurance companies, and 1 very good boy responsible for about $40,000 in damage. 14. Locked out of her own house, she decided climbing through a second-floor window was the move. Lost her grip, dropped straight into the bathtub, and cracked it clean in half on impact. She walked away fine. The porcelain did not. Insurance covered the tub. Nobody on earth could cover that level of embarrassment. 15. A magnifying glass left on a dashboard in direct sunlight focused a beam onto a pile of fast food napkins. They caught fire. The entire passenger seat was scorched before the owner even smelled the smoke. Claim approved, but his insurer probably should have thrown in a 5th grade science textbook for free. 16. Thanksgiving. A guy decides to deep fry a turkey indoors. Not in the garage. In the living room. Pot of boiling oil sitting right on the hardwood floor. Turkey goes in, oil goes everywhere. Firefighters show up before the gravy is even done. He filed a homeowner's claim like absolutely nothing unusual happened. Seriously. 17. Thousands of Americans have actually purchased alien abduction insurance. Real policies, real premiums, real paperwork. One company in Florida has sold around 6,000 of them and allegedly paid out on at least one claim. What the proof looked like is anyone's guess. But somebody out there cashed a real check for getting beamed up. 18. One of the most legendary stories in insurance lore goes like this. A man called the cops in a full panic over his completely gutted car. Stolen steering wheel, dashboard, pedals, all gone. Police arrived and realized the genius had simply climbed into his own backseat by mistake. He had already called his insurance agent to file a total loss claim while sitting safely behind his own headrests. 19. Their hotel room had an ocean view instead of a garden view. That was the actual basis of a real travel insurance claim. The couple swore the sound of waves kept them awake all night. The insurer denied it, probably while staring at their own cubicle wall, quietly reconsidering every life choice. 20. Cause of loss, listed on the claim form, act of God. The adjuster showed up and discovered a church steeple cross had snapped off during a storm and landed directly on the man's car hood. Honestly, he was not wrong, not even a little. That claim got approved faster than any act of God probably should. 21. Garden gnome. $15 at a hardware store. But when a delivery driver tripped over one, face planted into a rose bush, and snapped his wrist on the way down, that little ceramic man generated a $12,000 liability payout. More financial damage standing perfectly still than most people cause in a full year of moving around. 22. A burglar in California broke into a home, fell through a skylight he was trying to enter, and landed on a kitchen knife inside. He sued the homeowner for unsafe conditions and actually won. The guy who broke in got a settlement paid by the victim's insurer. If that does not make your eye twitch, absolutely nothing ever will. 23. Gold Rolex, straight down the toilet. A toddler flushed his dad's watch while nobody was looking. Plumber had to tear out half the bathroom to find it. The watch was destroyed, the plumbing bill was massive, and the claim was denied on every front. Turns out toddlers are simply not a covered peril under any homeowner's policy. 24. Ever tried explaining to your insurance company that a cow fell through your roof? One family actually lived it. The cow wandered off a hillside, stepped onto the corrugated metal roof, and crashed directly into the living room. Filed under falling objects. Technically flawless categorization. Emotionally, a whole different conversation. 25. The pedestrian had no idea which direction to run, so I ran him over. That was an actual line on an actual accident report written by an actual human being. The adjuster probably read it 3 times, slowly closed the folder, and stared out the window for the rest of his afternoon. 26. One grape. A single grape on a grocery store floor caused a slip-and-fall claim worth over $70,000 in medical bills, legal fees, and settlement money. That tiny piece of fruit had more financial impact in one afternoon than most people generate in a full work week. Put some respect on the grape. 27. Too fluffy. Her hotel pillow was too fluffy, and she woke up with neck pain so bad she missed 3 full days of vacation. Doctor's note attached. Formal travel insurance claim filed. Her insurer rejected it without blinking, but the phrase pillow-related cervical strain now lives on an official document somewhere in this world. Permanently. 28. 30 pounds gained after a fender bender, and she wanted compensation for every last one of them. Filed a formal claim arguing the weight was a direct emotional consequence of the crash. Full documentation, signatures, The insurer shut it down same day, but honestly, you almost have to respect the sheer ambition of that filing. Almost. 29. The GPS said turn right. So he turned right, directly into a lake. Car sank up to the windows before he even unbuckled his seatbelt. He filed a claim and blamed the navigation app entirely. His insurer asked why he drove into visible water. He had no answer. To this day, nobody involved in that claim does either. 30. A parrot memorized its owner's phone banking password and repeated it out loud in front of a house guest. The guest allegedly used it and drained the entire account. Owner filed under identity theft. The claim was actually reviewed. The parrot was never charged as an accomplice, which honestly feels like a gap in the legal system. 31. He cut the tree down himself, aimed it toward the yard. It fell the opposite direction and crushed his own roof instead. Bedroom destroyed, ceiling cracked, everything underneath ruined. Then he called his insurer and tried to file it as storm damage. Sir, they found your chainsaw still warm in the front yard. 32. Forgot sunscreen on a Caribbean vacation. Came home with second-degree burns across both shoulders and filed a travel insurance claim for the full emergency room visit. The insurer actually paid the medical bill, but formally noted in the file that sunshine was, in fact, expected in the Caribbean. Hard to argue with that logic. 33. Third-floor balcony, grand piano. Moving crew lost their grip. 3 stories of free fall later, the piano obliterated a parked car and embedded itself into the pavement. 3 separate claims from 3 different parties hit the system on the same day. Piano owner, car owner, and the city itself for the crater in their street. 34. His own cows broke through his own fence and ate his entire corn harvest in one lazy afternoon. His cows, his fence, his corn. The farmer filed a crop insurance claim for the full loss. 3 overlapping policies, 1 catastrophically unsupervised herd, and a man who technically destroyed his own livelihood from the inside out. 35. Nobody expects a swimming pool through their ceiling, but during a rainstorm, a full above-ground pool slid off a hillside and crashed onto the house below, still completely full of water. Homeowner filed for flood damage, structural damage, and emotional distress. All 3 approved. The pool owner got dropped by their insurer the next morning. 36. What do you even tell your insurance company when a bear breaks into your car, bumps it into neutral, and it rolls into a lake? Because that really happened in Colorado. The bear wanted a sandwich left on the front seat. Sandwich cost about $4. The car was valued at $30,000. Incredible return on investment for the bear. 37. A spider. In the garage. That is all it took. Her husband grabbed a blowtorch, aimed it at the spider, and set the entire garage on fire before the spider even flinched. Spider survived. Garage did not. Insurance covered the structure, and the adjuster reportedly asked if the man had ever heard of using a shoe. 38. Dentures. Full set, custom fitted, gone. Snatched right off a beach towel by a seagull who clearly had somewhere important to be. The owner filed under his dental plan for theft of prosthetic, and the insurer demanded a police report. So this man walked into a police station and formally reported a bird for stealing his teeth. That officer's face must have been priceless. 39. Same house, same month. 2 separate lightning strikes, fully documented, fully paid. But what made this claim legendary was the homeowner's note attached to the second filing, which reportedly read, "Please advise whether I should move or if God will eventually get bored." That note was allegedly framed in the claims office. 40. A candle on a shelf. A cat on the counter. 1 swipe of the paw, and half the kitchen was on fire within minutes. Standard pet disaster claim. But the insurer denied it because the cat was listed as outdoor only on the policy. The cat was clearly indoors. Claim rejected on a technicality. Even for insurance, stone cold. 41. An engagement ring, tossed in the trash by accident with the morning garbage. She only realized it when the truck was already 4 blocks gone. Renter's insurance covered the full appraised value, no questions asked. Somewhere deep in a landfill right now, a 3-carat diamond is just vibing quietly underneath banana peels and junk mail. 42. Straight into a Chick-fil-A. on a Sunday. Building closed, parking lot empty, not a soul inside. Just one man and the only structure in the entire lot he somehow managed to hit. The adjuster noted the cause of the accident as failure to observe that the building was still present. Legendary sentence. 43. 214 holes drilled into one woman's cedar siding by a family of woodpeckers over a single summer. She filed a homeowner's claim covering the exterminator, the repairs, and a full exterior repaint. Adjuster came out, counted every last hole, and approved it on the spot. The woodpeckers came back the next spring and started over. 44. One shanked tee shot ricocheted off a cart path, flew sideways across two fairways, and shattered a car windshield in the parking lot. Driver was inside eating lunch. Ball came through the glass at full speed, mid-bite. Seriously. He filed for the windshield, interior damage, and emotional distress. All covered. The golfer's handicap remains unknown but clearly catastrophic. 45. Their vacation simply was not relaxing enough, and they wanted their money back through travel insurance. No incident, no illness, no stolen luggage, just a deep disappointment that real life failed to match the brochure photos. The insurer's rejection letter was probably the least sympathetic document ever drafted by human hands. 46. Two fingers, shattered on a Saturday playing pickup basketball. Normally not a disaster, except this guy was a dentist who had his hands insured for $500,000. Claim approved. But his policy renewal came back banning 23 specific recreational activities, including yoga and, quote, any activity involving unnecessary jumping. 47. Hurricane damage claim. Missing roof. Simple enough, right? Adjusters showed up to this one home in Florida and realized the roof had been missing for months before the hurricane even touched down. Guy just saw the storm as a convenient opportunity to finally cash in. His neighbors confirmed the timeline. His insurer confirmed the fraud charges. 48. Cause of damage listed on the form, my wife. No context, no details. No attached documents, just 2 words on an official insurance claim. The adjuster called for clarification, and the man reportedly said, "I think that covers it." The claim was for a shattered television and a heavily dented garage door. He was probably right. 49. Honey. Everywhere. A tanker truck overturned on a California highway and coated 6 vehicles in a thick, sticky, golden layer that took hours to scrub off. Every driver filed a comprehensive claim the same day. One adjuster described the scene in his official damage report as, quote, sweet but total devastation. Give that man a bonus. 50. Have you ever accidentally left your sunroof wide open before rolling into a car wash? One genius did. Not cracked open, fully wide open. Interior destroyed in under 30 seconds. Seats wrecked, electronics fried, dashboard warped beyond repair. He blamed the car wash entirely. Their security camera showed him waving at the attendant with the roof wide open. Case closed. 51. Alive, breathing, standing right at the counter, and still trying to file a life insurance claim on himself. This man genuinely believed the policy just paid you for being alive. The agent had to gently explain that the good news was he was living, and the bad news was that was exactly the reason he could not collect. 52. 60 miles per hour. Direct hit, 1 cow. Classic rural highway accident, right? Except the cow was made of fiberglass, bolted to a wheeled platform, and had been stolen from a steakhouse parking lot earlier that night. He nailed a fake cow at full speed and still filed a collision claim with zero hesitation. 53. Keys gone. Snatched clean out of an open taxi window by a monkey in Mumbai who launched them straight down a storm drain without a second thought. No keys, no ignition, no way to move the cab. The driver filed a claim covering the tow, the locksmith, and a full day of lost fares. All because of one primate with an attitude problem. 54. 3 cars swallowed in under 2 minutes. A sinkhole ripped open beneath a grocery store parking lot and just ate them whole. One driver was still inside eating lunch and had to be pulled out by firefighters. All 3 filed claims the same afternoon. The adjuster showed up, stared into the hole, and reportedly asked his boss, "So do we bill the ground?" 55. About 2 to 3 people a year in the United States are killed by vending machines falling on them. One guy rocked a machine back and forth trying to shake a stuck bag of chips loose. It tipped, pinned his foot, and broke 2 toes. Insurance covered the injury in full. The bag of chips, for the record, never dropped. Vending machines have a higher body count than sharks in America. Let that sink in. 56. During a city lighting ceremony, the installation crew lost control of a massive Christmas tree. It dropped straight onto a parked sedan below and flattened it completely. City liability insurance covered every cent. Merry Christmas. That car owner has reportedly not parked within 3 blocks of a public holiday event since. Honestly, who could blame him? 57. First drop of the roller coaster, and his dentures launched out of his mouth like a missile. Hit the woman 2 rows back directly in the forehead. She filed a personal injury claim. He filed a property loss claim for the teeth. The amusement park's insurer handled both cases simultaneously and probably updated their internal risk charts that same week. 58. $90,000 in a checked suitcase. No lock, no tracking tag. Designer clothes, custom jewelry, high-end perfume, all tossed in with nothing but blind faith. The airline lost it naturally. She filed the most expensive single luggage claim on record and sued for the rest. Zero sympathy from anyone at baggage claim. 59. Grill smoke drifting over from next door on the 4th of July. One man filed a homeowner's claim swearing his neighbor's barbecue permanently destroyed the fabric on all his outdoor furniture, denied on the spot. His neighbor has not invited him to a single cookout since, which honestly might be the bigger loss in the long run. 60. Stepping on a rake that launches up and breaks your nose only happens in cartoons, except it happened to a real man in his own backyard, with real blood and real medical bills. His homeowner's policy technically covered the injury. The adjuster approved the claim but reportedly could not keep a straight face through the entire phone call. 61. Squirrels destroy more cars than most people would ever believe. One woman's engine wiring got completely shredded overnight by a single squirrel who turned her hood into a personal buffet. $4,000 in damage from one rodent. Her adjuster said it was his 3rd squirrel claim that week. Nobody talks about this epidemic, but it is very real. 62. Moving day. Truck pulls up. Driver reverses into the driveway and slams directly through the front wall of the house they were moving into. First load in, first wall gone. The moving company's liability insurer covered the structural repair in full. The homeowner was reportedly still holding a welcome mat when the bumper came through her living room. 63. 11 seconds is all it took for a 12-year-old to start his mom's minivan, reverse it through the garage door, across the driveway, and clean through the neighbor's fence. 3 insurance claims triggered by one joyride shorter than a sneeze. Mom's auto. Mom's homeowners. Neighbor's property. That kid is probably still grounded. 64. He spent 2 hours looking for his car at a massive mall parking lot. Could not find it. Assumed it was stolen. He called his auto insurance from the food court and immediately filed a total loss claim. The adjuster drove out 2 days later to investigate and found the car perfectly fine, just parked 3 rows over. 65. 3 tiny door dings from a grocery store parking lot. Repair estimate, $47. The car owner hired a lawyer and demanded $14,000 in diminished value, emotional distress, and loss of vehicle enjoyment. His insurer settled for $800 just to make the whole situation go away. Over dents you could barely find with a flashlight. 66. A wild turkey attacked one woman's sedan every single morning for 2 straight weeks. It saw its own reflection in the paint and chose absolute violence. She filed for deep scratches, body dents, and mirror damage. Total bill? Over $3,000. Seriously? One bird with a grudge and absolutely nothing else to do. 67. Through a cracked window, overnight, a skunk crawled into a parked car and sprayed every single surface inside. Every seat, every fiber, everything. The interior was so thoroughly saturated that the insurer totaled the entire vehicle rather than attempt to clean it. One skunk rode off a whole car. The adjuster flat out refused to inspect it in person. 68. Ever been hit by a falling icicle? One man, walking out of a downtown office building, caught one directly on the shoulder and fractured his collarbone. Filed a premises liability claim against the building owner for failing to manage ice buildup. Won the full settlement. Winter in the Northeast is basically a liability event that lasts 5 months straight. 69. $54 million over a pair of pants. A man sued his dry cleaner for losing them and actually took it to trial. Real courtroom. Real judge who had to sit there and listen to a grown adult weep on the stand about missing trousers. He lost, thankfully. But the dry cleaner's liability insurance still had to cover the entire legal defense. For pants. 70. Water heater in the basement exploded at 3 in the morning and launched straight through the floor into the kitchen above like a rocket. Nobody was home, which is the only reason this stayed a property claim and nothing worse. The adjuster described it in his official report as an appliance-related ballistic event. That phrase lives on a real document now. Permanently. 71. Roman candle tipped sideways during a 4th of July show, shot directly into the neighbor's open garage, and lit up a shelf of paint cans like a Hollywood stunt. Fire department, 3 insurance claims, and 1 neighborhood friendship completely incinerated. The guy who lit the fuse filed under his own liability with a straight face. 72. A washing machine hose burst while the family was on vacation. Nobody home for 9 days. Water ran non-stop. By the time they returned, every floor was warped, the ceiling had collapsed, and mold was climbing the walls. 1 rubber hose. 9 days. Over $60,000 in damage. 73. Brand new truck. Drove it off the lot on a Tuesday. Wednesday morning, the worst hailstorm in 20 years rolled through and dented every single panel. Windshield cracked in 4 places. He had owned the vehicle for less than 19 hours. Filed a comprehensive claim before his first oil change was even due. Sometimes the universe just picks you personally. 74. Windstorm ripped a 12-foot inflatable Santa off somebody's roof, launched it across a 4-lane highway, and dropped it onto a minivan's windshield going full speed. 3-car pileup. Santa deflated on impact. The homeowner's liability insurer handled the whole mess. Somewhere in their filing system, the phrase projectile holiday decoration now exists permanently. 75. Parked, engine off, keys in her purse, and the airbag just deployed. No impact, no collision, no reason whatsoever. Just a random explosion of nylon directly into her face while she sat in a parking lot checking her phone. Filed for the facial bruising, the broken glasses, and the airbag replacement. All approved. Modern engineering at its absolute finest. 76. One painter on a scaffold kicked over a 5-gallon bucket, and it poured straight down onto a convertible parked below with the top down. White paint. Red leather interior. Every square inch absolutely coated. Car owner filed a claim. Painting company filed a claim. Building owner filed a claim. 3 policies activated by 1 bucket worth about $30. 77. Termites ate through the structural beams of a house for years before anyone noticed. By the time the homeowner found them, the damage was over $100,000. He filed a claim. His insurer pointed to the fine print. Termite damage is excluded from virtually every homeowner's policy in America. $100,000 in damage. 0 coverage. Welcome to insurance. 78. Imagine having to call your agent and explain that you just backed your car directly through your own living room wall. One spectacularly stupid moment in the driveway generated both an auto claim and a homeowner's claim simultaneously. Both insurers actually approved it. Neither discovered the other existed for months. 79. Foul ball sailed clean over the backstop at a Little League game, crossed the street, and went through a living room window. Homeowner filed a claim. The league's liability insurance covered it, but the process took 6 weeks because nobody could agree whether a 10-year-old's foul ball counted as an athletic event or just pure chaos. 80. He was there to face charges for insurance fraud, slipped on a wet courthouse floor on his way in, broke his arm, and filed a completely legitimate personal injury claim against the county for unsafe conditions. So this man committed insurance fraud, then slipped on the way to his own fraud trial and generated an actual valid claim. You absolutely cannot make this stuff up. 81. An earthquake shattered over 400 bottles of rare vintage wine in one collector's basement. Claim total: nearly $200,000. The insurer sent a specialist to verify the collection, and after confirming the loss, the specialist reportedly asked whether any surviving bottles might be available for purchase. Professionalism has its limits. 82. 4 different drivers hit the exact same massive crater in a city intersection within a single week. All 4 filed against the city's liability policy. The last driver's attorney proved the city had 3 prior warnings and did nothing. What? All 4 settled. That one hole became the most expensive piece of pavement in the state. 83. Swerved to avoid a stray cat and drove directly into a fire hydrant. Water shot 40 feet into the air, flooded the street, and soaked 2 parked cars downstream. 4 total claims spawned from one moment of feline compassion: his collision, the city's hydrant, and both waterlogged vehicles. All because one man loved a stray cat a little too much. 84. Roof collapsed under the weight of snow in Minnesota. Not unusual, except this roof collapsed because the homeowner had been shoveling snow from his driveway onto it for years to avoid hauling it to the curb. He buried his own house one winter at a time, then filed a claim for structural failure. His insurer was not amused. 85. Kid launched a model rocket from the backyard. It cleared the fence, arced across the street, and crashed clean through a neighbor's skylight during dinner. Landed right on the table. 4 people sitting there. Rocket in the mashed potatoes. The parents' homeowner's liability covered the skylight and the ceiling repair. The mashed potatoes were ruled a total loss. 86. Neighbor's massive oak tree fell across the property line and crushed a man's fence, shed, and half his driveway. Here is the fun part. Under most homeowners' policies, the tree owner is not liable. The victim's own insurance covers it, so this man paid his own deductible for damage caused entirely by someone else's tree. He was thrilled, obviously. 87. Downtown lunch hour. A construction crane dropped a steel beam onto a row of parked cars and flattened 5 of them instantly. Every owner filed a claim the same afternoon. The construction company's liability insurer processed all 5 at once, and the combined payout was reportedly higher than the cost of the beam itself. Efficient construction, just not the kind anyone planned. 88. Nobody visited the cabin since October. Pipes froze, burst, and ran water through the interior for months. By spring, the entire place was coated in ice, mold, and damage. $60,000 claim. Approved. But the renewal came back requiring documented proof of active heating between November and March. Lessons learned at the most expensive possible price. 89. Rented a scooter on vacation in Thailand, crashed it directly into a fruit stand, and tried to file the damage under his American travel insurance. His policy specifically excluded motorized vehicles under 150 cubic centimeters. Wiped out about $200 in mangoes and totaled the scooter. Came home with nothing but a scar and a story nobody believed. 90. Riding lawnmower rolled straight into the deep end of a swimming pool. Sank to the bottom and cracked the tile on impact. The homeowner filed for the mower replacement, the pool repair, and the full cost of draining and refilling. When the adjuster asked how a lawnmower ended up in 8 feet of water, the man did not have what anyone would call a satisfying answer. 91. One failed skateboard trick launched a teenager through the front window of a dentist's office, landed in the waiting room full of patients. Building owner filed for property damage. The kid's parents filed for medical bills. 3 patients filed for emotional distress. 5 total claims from one botched kickflip. 92. Hot tub on a second-floor deck. Sounds luxurious right up until the supports snap and the whole thing crashes into the kitchen below. 300 gallons of warm water across every surface in seconds. Filed for the deck, the kitchen, the flooring, and the tub itself. Adjuster asked who approved the structural plans. Nobody did. 93. Bed bugs in a 5-star hotel. Bites all over her arms, legs, and neck. She filed a travel insurance claim for the medical treatment and a separate liability claim against the hotel for pain and suffering. Won both. Combined payout exceeded $20,000. That might be the single most expensive night of sleep in the history of hospitality. Seriously. 94. Lightning hit the backyard grill during a barbecue. The surge traveled through the house wiring and fried every electronic device inside. TV, computer, fridge, washer, microwave, all dead. One bolt, one grill. 14 items on a single homeowner's claim. The adjuster said it was the longest electronics inventory he had ever processed. 95. Stolen car turned up 2 years later at the bottom of a lake during a drought. Owner had already been paid out in full. When the water dropped and the car surfaced, the insurer technically owned it. They fished it out, cracked the trunk, and found a cooler of sealed beer inside still cold. The lake kept those on ice for 24 straight months, completely free of charge. 96. A demolition crew showed up to the completely wrong address and tore a house down while the owner was at work. She came home to a flat dirt lot where her living room used to be. Are you kidding me? She filed a claim for everything she owned. The demo company's insurer had to cover the entire replacement cost. 97. Neck brace on Monday. Roller coaster selfie by Friday. One guy filed a whiplash claim after a fender bender, swore he could barely move, then posted a photo of himself arms up on a theme park ride 5 days later. His insurer found the post within a week. Claim denied. Fraud investigation opened. Social media remains completely undefeated against stupid criminals. 98. He heard a creak, ignored it, and fell straight through his own attic floor into the dining room below. Landed on the table and split it clean in half. Filed a homeowner's claim for the ceiling, the table, and his medical bills. When the adjuster asked what he was doing in the attic, the answer was looking for Christmas decorations. In July, Merry Christmas. 99. Goats. An entire escaped herd climbed onto a man's car, caved in the roof, shattered the windshield, and chewed the rubber trim off every window. He filed a comprehensive claim with photos. Adjuster drove out, saw hoofprints stamped across the entire vehicle, and approved it on the spot. No investigation needed. The evidence was as clear as evidence gets. 100. An actual grown man filed a claim for emotional distress because his barber gave him a terrible fade. I am not making this up. He argued the bad haircut damaged his professional reputation, complete with co-worker testimonies. His insurer rejected it with what has to be the most satisfying denial letter ever written in human history. 101. Day 1. Brand new car driven clean off a boat ramp into 12 feet of harbor water. Dealer plates still attached. Insurance barely activated. The thing sank before his first monthly payment was even due. The agent who sold him that policy reportedly got the call, put the phone down, and just stared at his desk in complete silence. First day. First claim. Legend. That was 101 real claims filed by real people with apparently zero shame. Now I need to settle something. Which is the single dumbest claim in this entire video? Give me the number in the comments. Nobody here is judging. We are all just entertained. Hit like so this reaches more people who need to laugh today. And subscribe, because next week gets even wilder.